Now, hello, Coach Susan here, and welcome to Conscious Living Global. I'm deeply honored and grateful to be the person selected to interview the founding member of Conscious Living Global, Shona Hill. Hello, Shona.
Hello, Susan.
Welcome to the show. So wonderful to speak to you. All the way there in England, and I'm all the way down here in Brisbane, and our little secret person in the background is in New Zealand, an hour ahead of us, and I'm so grateful to have both of you in my life. Thank you both so much. So let's get on with this interview, and I'm going to ask you a few questions so that everybody here has the ability to know a little bit more about you and Conscious Living Global, because it's an incredibly important movement. Shona, would you be prepared to let us know a little bit more about yourself and where you grew up, your schooling, and what road did you decide to follow after leaving school?
Oh my, everything at once.
Oh yes, that's what Coach Susan does.
Well, I was born in Chester, UK, with full awareness, I will say. I was very aware from the moment I was born. I was able to see straight away, look about me straight away, and I even had the strength to lift myself up straight away. I was the first baby that the midwife had delivered, and I remember feeling her joy at the achievement of it. And I was aware always that I was here to help people. When I was playing, I was always either with a doctor's or nurse's kit or placing my hands on my toys, saying I was helping them. So through healing. So I was always naturally doing what I do, and just being present with people. But at the same time, I've always been very aware of what I'm going to call alternate forces. Because I was always very light, but I initially had many, I would call them nightmares, where I was made aware of the alternate energetic force that I was up against in the world. And from 10 months old, I was very aware of the physicality of that darkness in the presence of the earth plane. So I've always been a very joyful person, a very caring person, and sometimes my joy is just very overwhelming for people. That's been my that's been my thing. I used to run into school full of joy and go, "Hello, everybody," and they used to turn away from me because they couldn't take my energy, my joy. And I remember my mum was always saying to me that she used to drive home crying when she saw this, because I was just stood there going, "What have I done?" You know. So what I did then was, some people might say it was a mistake. I don't believe you make them. What I attempted to do was fit in to what was around me. And really, that, although in one way it was turning away from myself, my truth and who I am, it gave me lots of lessons to take
Yeah.
forward with me, lots of things to learn about how humanity responds in general to what's around them
Absolutely.
and tries to conform with expectation rather than be who they are. And through all those experiences, which included, again, experiencing the opposite. I've spent my life experiencing the opposite of me, and lots of bullying, abuse,
Yeah.
violence. And yeah, so now it's kind of time to say, right, I've learned enough of that. I've had
Yeah,
enough of that now.
I,
It's time to
yeah,
use it effectively. Mm.
absolutely. And Shona, the thing that interests me the most is many people who have what I call, and many of us call, the awakening,
Mm.
have gone through a similar sort of experience where um, what what we thought at a young age as a negativity, the ability to have the creativity and the courage to face the fear of what you've been through and turn it into something extremely positive like you have is commendable, and I salute you for this, and I salute anybody out there who has an empathy with what you have actually gone through to get to where you are here. And I'm I'm intrigued to know, with the conformity of school and what people expected of you and the bullying and all the sort of things that created the beautiful sense of the sensitive person, to actually hide your abilities. What then did you decide to do when you left school? Was there what did you go into a sort of university type thing or college, or what did you do to make other people happy with you?
I did actually go to university, but even though I did turn away from, in a way, I never lost the abilities. I just kept them quiet and kind of. Um, so they were always kind of there. So I always naturally kind of gravitated to things that enhanced them, even though I was fitting into the status quo,
Yeah.
if you like. So yes, I did go to university. What I went there for really at the time was to study the more um, native cultures because I they're so in nature. They're so naturally gifted and use nature in their medicine and
Yeah.
everything else. So I was naturally drawn to study that side of things and spent 4 months of that course living in America, where
Mm.
I really experienced the two sides of the coin because I spent a lot of time with the Native American cultures there and saw their beauty and spent time with their beauty and how they are with nature and just being. I love just being with them. And in contrast, I had the American society as it is, which was full of bombast. You know, it was full of kind of I'm the best.
Mm.
You know, no one's better than me. And then I had the gentle kind of in a way, they were like me because they were hiding themselves, or in a way, being forced to hide themselves.
Yeah.
And it was just so nice to go and spend time with them, and just see them out of their shells, and connect with the universe with them, connect with source with them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I love that part.
Absolutely. In knowing, having the privilege of knowing you for some time now, what I love that you reflect back is the Native American or any, the African peoples, people in South America. What I love that you reflect back is their love of nature and their respect of nature. And that's the most incredible thing that you reflect back as well. And that is the ability to look within a person from your soul source. And it's something that not many people can do. And in the time that I've known you, I find this one of the most respectful things about you. And what I love about you as well is that you have this passion and this courage, this absolute courage. And I don't like to, there's a modern word that people use. They talk about, oh, I'm the warrior and I can do this. I don't like using that word because warriors go out and they do harm to each other. You are a source of light. And I can use the word bolt of lightning because that's what you like. There's this energy and this white light around you that actually just comes out. And when you really putting forward in a conversation what your passion is, it's so powerful. And that is why this movement is so important at this time, because there are so many people getting together and understanding that unless we actually do something, we're going to lose this beautiful earth and these amazing and incredible tribal understandings that are at one with earth and at one with God. Yes. And I'd love you to be able to say to me, in your version of how you'd like to share with other people as well, and this is where we actually start to understand each other as well. I'd like you to tell me a story of some time in your journey that you experienced failure and what you learned from it.
Ooh. Well, for me, I don't really use the word failure. It doesn't really exist. Challenge exists.
Good girl.
Existence exists, but I don't believe in that failure exists, because we're always moving forward and we've always wisened, learn from our experiences. And actually, what I'm doing now has come from one of the greatest challenges I've had in my life. I've had many, but I've just come out of a space where I'm going to say, face to face with the devil. If you had to say something, it was dark. It was the darkest energy I've ever experienced in this earth plane, and I've experienced much. And I was attacked on every level, psychically, through words, through deeds, every possible way that to try and squash me, take me down, if you like. was tried out on me. And I was in the space much, much longer than I should have been, and I knew that. But the reason I stayed there so long was the fact that I was aware that if I could overcome what was happening to me in the space, nothing would hurt me that way again. And I would be extremely strong in my core, in my connection with God. And, you know, and when people attack me in any way going forward, I know now that I can just go straight to that space and it won't hurt me. Whereas prior to that, and as the space proved actually in itself, I still am innocent in a lot of ways, but I was much more innocent. I had a naivety with it as well. And even though I've always experienced the darkness, I didn't know the full extent of the darkness until I was in that space. I just heard random things, but never experienced the effect of that energy would have. And what that space did was make me aware of its impact on humanity. And it also gave me the deep feeling of, no, this is not, you know, this is the end of this energy having power here. Well, it's not power, it's control. They're all about control. A power is, for me, it's a deep love. It's an unconditional love for all things and a deep respect, which I have for all people. And I've said to Heather, and I'm going to say here now, that I see humanity as my children. And it's having experienced that, I want to give humanity a space to go, to feel safe, to know that they will be met with authenticity, that they will receive what they wish to receive, that there's no hype around, that they will just receive the help that they want. And that's what it's done, really. It's basically from every challenge there comes a better thing. You learn and you create, and what that space has shown is the time is now to shift the balance. If you say the positive and the negative, or the God and the
yin and yang,
whatever, yin and yang, whatever. What I discovered through experiences at the moment, even though it should be in balance, it seems a little bit that way. And what I'm doing here through the Conscious Living Global is shifting the balance so that we're always ahead. It will always be there. Light can't exist without darkness, but it's being ahead of it and being the bridge over the troubled waters.
So what I love to hear that you've just told me, and you know, you talk about the bridge over troubled waters, and the troubled waters has existed from when we've experienced the First World War and the Second World War and all the other things that have followed from there. And I visualize a sort of Dante type artwork with all these sort of troubled water type people flowing under the bridge. So you described that beautifully. And what I commend you for is I asked you the question earlier on about experiencing failure and what you learned from it. And what I coach as well is that there is no failure. You face your fear and you turn it into something that is absolutely incredible. And this is where you are walking with lions now, because you have decided that this is not happening. Whatever's happened to you and has happened to you in the past and from when you were small and from birth, you are not going to let that become the dark part of your life. It is your light. So you've learned this lesson, and you're not going to sit there on your laurels and say, oh, poor me. No ways. You're going to just take the world and say, that is not happening. And I am. I am this powerful person. So I commend you for that. I commend you for that. What I'd like to ask you next is, how is it for you knowing you were gifted with the power of universal spirit's energy or God, and feeling different to other kids when you grew up? Because you've explained to me earlier on that you just conformed, but how was it for you? This gifted spirit, this part of the universal energy of life, where you had to hide this, to explain to so many people who are listening that this is not how we are going to allow our children to grow up anymore. There's a new movement of education, and it's not the old type where you have to go and do, okay, the 3 R's are very important, but the education of being who you truly are and what God put you on this earth for. So I would love you to share that and just let us all know that feeling of loneliness. Are you able to draw that out and explain and share with us?
Yeah, I mean, I had so many experiences where I've just felt that it was just me and everybody. And that was certainly something that I've experienced in school because I was isolated. Everybody kind of pushed me out. So I was always on my own. So I was literally, on a physical sense, on my own. So it was, and it was painful, you know, and because you're aware of who you are and somebody just walking past you and shoving you in a hawthorn hedge just because you're you isn't, it's like, well, what's wrong with me? You know, I'm just here smiling. And it's because they didn't get me. It's like because I'm just about doing, I'm just about creating. So whenever, say for example, we were given something to do by a teacher, I would just get it done. So I was like a square person because I actually did what the teacher said, you know. But actually it was just my creativity just pouring out in the way that I was told for it to pour out. So, and even though I was aware and I shared me, like if I saw something and I knew people would listen and I shared it, I soon realized that it wasn't worth sharing because they just thought I was weird. So everything about Yeah. So go on then. Yeah.
So I was going to say, so it's something like throwing the baby out with the bathwater, and sort of getting that. What would you like to? Would you like to sort of extend on that? Because we're glad that you didn't get thrown out and you didn't go down the plug hole either. So um, that's that's an important part of our life. We have you
Yeah.
here, thank goodness.
Yeah, because yeah, I mean that's something that's very relevant still to this day, because obviously in the space I was in, I took on board a lot, so I've had to let go of a lot. So yes, there have been people that say they see me, they see my power, and yet even they disregard me. They, in some ways, they're afraid of me. And they try to keep me small so that they can have the pedestal, if you like, which the pedestals don't exist. So we're all the same, you know.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
and you know, you never know how someone is going to grow and when, as they let go of things, how they're going to expand and how they're going to be. So I, I never throw someone out with the bathwater. I always, because I see,
I'm so glad to hear that.
because I see the soul of people. That's one thing that has always shocked me throughout my life as well, because I always see the beauty first and then get horrified by what comes in my direction. so,
The thing,
so,
the thing is
yeah,
with you, from what I understand, is the beauty is very precious, and
yeah,
you're the type of person who finds all the lame dogs and brings them home, and I love you for that, Shona. And
yeah,
you know, you're such a humanitarian, and I know you love this beautiful planet that we live on. And I just love you to share your feelings about this with our audience. And in saying that, one thing that our audience don't know is that between yourself, Heather, and I, we talk about the misfits.
yeah,
And it is so important for you to talk about the misfits because I, I am positive that a lot of us who are in on this actual interview right now understand that feeling.
yes,
So please share with us. Just let us know because everybody who's here is going to know that we're the misfits and we're pretty cool.
yes. You know,
Yeah.
actually, it's funny because one of my favorite games to play when I was young was called The Misfits, and I always had it out making funny people, all different heads and bodies, and but
Good
yes,
for you. Oh, Mr. Potato Man. Whatever.
yeah, but yes, you know, the square pegs for the round holes. That's me. That's Susan. That's Heather. That's all the beautiful pearls that are in the world. Um, are misfits because you have a depth of understanding. You um, see so much more than others around you. And basically, as what I've been talking about, you can feel alone for that. but you're not alone. And that's another reason for, for the space. It's all the misfits are actually coming together because we see the beauty of the world. We see what's possible. And, if
Yeah,
you are a misfit and you're watching this and you feel like you're the only person in the world that's like you, know that you're not. Know that you are part of a wonderful family, and you have purpose. It's the misfits that within them contain the beautiful pearls that are the catalyst for change. That's why you're a misfit, because you see and you create something to counteract the status quo. You're always a catalyst for change because you see more. That's what a misfit is.
absolutely. I hear
Yeah.
you there, and I love it. So every misfit, as far as we're all concerned here, are definitely needed. They're definitely needed. And I wonder if we should stop calling ourselves misfits. Perhaps we should be the surefits, or maybe just carry on being the misfits. How do you feel about that?
I,
Cool. Why
one of
not?
the I just love being quirky and using quirky terms. It's just
Absolutely.
um, I, words are just labels, and what
They
um yeah, what misfits, if you like, contain is a depth that is indescribable by words.
absolutely.
I mean, if
Shona, I
were,
recently went. Sorry,
if I were to describe
go.
myself, I really couldn't. I mean, I can talk about me
Well,
in a
why?
human sense, but if I was to someone say, really, who am I? And I really went, the true words are not present. It's just all labels. And it
Yeah,
just, it just is, it just is.
Shona, I have to share something with you. Recently, I went to a business training, and in this business training, uh, there was there was the mindset, and it actually reminded me of when I was at school. And as you say, we're the misfits, so we can empathize with each other. And these people were saying, um, it, it was interesting to see what happened, because about three or four of us just automatically, it was intuition. We found each other. We just did, because we can. We, the misfits, can do it. We're intelligent, we're full of wisdom, we're wise, and we are old souls. But the other people in this training um, have not had the privilege of being able to um, understand like we do. And they had the audacity to sort of, they singled us out, just like at school, and they started to call us the woo-woos. And oh, you use the word tribe. And we all said, so? Yeah, we're a tribe. Look, we find each other. Did you? And it was an interesting situation we're just explaining now. And it is so wonderful to be able to find our tribe in this amazing platform that you're creating and have created, and be able to say, we have a right to be, because we really care. And we're not going to say anything bad to anybody else. We're not going to brand people as such and such. We're going to respect everyone. Have the ability to be able to step back, look on, and actually say, we don't need to worry about you because we have each other. We are the misfits. So something I'd love to ask you is if you would tell us about your journey when you got the light bulb moment, the aha moment of awakening and the realization of your why. And in other words, why God placed you here on earth and for what purpose?
Okay. Well, as I said, I arrived with complete awareness, and then I tempted to fit in and took on loads of stuff through that. And where that moment arrived, interestingly, was when I was married. It was a domestically violent relationship, and it was really taking me down, if you like. I had attracted again an opposite of me, and it was light and dark, truly an experience. And what that experience did was really take me to a precipice, if you like. I was suicidal. I was even planning suicide. And one day I was just there thinking about it, and a deep voice from within, just came up from nowhere and said to me, "This is a walk in the park for you. You have work to do. You have people to help overcome these experiences you've experienced." And that was like a big boot up the bum, if you like. And I thought, right, okay, I'm not because I realized I was allowing the dark to beat me, if you like. I was allowing it to make me a victim. And I made the choice in that moment of claiming my power back. And I set out to reclaim my power. And the next time he came to attack me, I just said, "I've had enough of this, I'm leaving." And he was so shocked because he'd been so used to using me as a doormat that the fact that I said I'm not having any more was like a punch in the face to him. But it was, and that was when I really started to clean out. I really cleaned out a lot of stuff. And it was in the process of that cleaning up, because it had taken my voice away from me. I couldn't speak very well. I could write very well, but I was silent. I didn't say anything. And in the process of my cleaning up, that's when I met Heather. I actually went to her to get my voice back.
You did. She did a good job.
She did a very good job. Yes.
Shona, I'm just going to intercept. Australia's been facing a terrible drought, and God has given us rain. So if I cut out a little bit, please understand, it's not because I've got hiccups, it's because God's given us rain. So the internet connection here is not all that hot. So I'm asking Heather to generate a little bit of electricity here, and I think she's doing it because I think you can hear me again. So
yes.
Please carry on, because this is a very important thing to share with people. Both men and women have faced abusers, narcissists, misogynists, and when you share your story with bravery and show the world how you turned this about and how you got your voice back and your absolute determination Just like I got my voice back. Thanks, Heather, for the energy. Thanks, God, for stop doing that to the internet. Yo. But yay! What I love about you again, Shona, is your courage. And many of us misfits are gentle people and gentle souls and old souls. And the misogynists, the narcissists find us. And many of us are empaths. Many of us don't know, or we've suppressed the empathy from childhood. And then when you have this awakening, you can actually turn around and say to the person in your life you've left, well, thanks a lot for that, because now I know who I am. And when you leave that person with no hatred and no anger, your beauty shines through and you are more powerful than ever before.
Yeah.
So thank you, Heather. Thank you, God, for giving Shona back her voice. I am so grateful for that, because we are where we are right now.
Yeah.
Carry on, tell us all a little bit more about what you went on to doing with Heather, because I know your story, but everybody else deserves to know a little bit.
Yeah, well, obviously it was all to lead to this point, but I kind of been walking on parallel journeys since, and we've kind of been like waves. We've gone out and in and out and in, learning and having experiences around the type of people that you mentioned, and growing from it, becoming more humble through it all the time. And it's interesting because when it comes to this part of the journey, when I first wanted to speak to Heather about it, I was so excited about it. I was writing about, again, it was the ability to write, but when it came to it, the words got stuck here. And again, it was because of those types of people that would, trying to take my power from me, trying to make me less than I am because they're afraid of my power and what it's capable of. And so when I came to telling her, the words got stuck here and my eyes filled up because I was scared to speak about it. And then I thought, no, this is Heather. She knows me. I know her. And we do see each other. And right from the moment we met, she has seen me right to the very core of me. She knows me. So even when we've been apart, she's been watching me.
Well, they say God is a woman.
Yeah, indeed. And so when I connected with her and spoke with her, I was really filled with joy when she, after first sort of big grin on her face until she got what it was, and it was like, oh, I knew. I knew it was Heather, because I knew it was a collaboration.
You can't get away with much with Heather.
I knew it was a collaboration project because it was, Heather and I are like the yin and yang, we're love bubbles, but when sometimes I go too much to the love side, and Heather has to go, there's something.
Hold you back again. Right, come back here.
So there is. Yeah. So yes, it's. I'm joy, and she brings the balance. She neutralizes, and that's the beauty of us, and we bounce off each other she finishes my sentences and everything else. So we are absolutely on the same page when it comes to
this. Is what misfits can do, isn't it? They see into each other, especially when they recognize each other. And the more powerful they are, the more the man on the street who accuse us of being misfits gets scared or afraid, and they don't know how to handle us. And that's why they call us the woo-woos.
Yes. I like being woo-woo.
I think it's a bit rude. It's almost like saying to somebody, being rude about somebody's religion. Anyway, that's just my thoughts. Shona, this is a two-part question I'm going to ask you, because I'm very, very interested for you to let everybody know. Would you share with us what you do? In other words, your mission through Conscious Living Global.
Yeah, it's the restoration of humanity, in a nutshell. And I've been doing it anyways every day, sharing my presence with people, restoring them, giving them a sense of peace that they have either never known or have forgotten. And I find it so wonderful when people come to see me and they're stressed out or full of aches, pains, or whatever, and they leave with a smile, pain-free, and enjoy, and they just float out. And everyone say to me, "What do you do in that room?" And I just say, "I do nothing."
It's energy, baby.
I simply share presence, and that's the beauty of the misfit, the ability to give true presence and give people a true sense of peace by doing nothing. The queens of nothingness.
So this is
just being with them.
So being very humble.
So in regards to the restoration, it's reconnecting people with who they are. Because I see people, this is what I do, because I see people, I bring them out. And I even bring out, it's like what we were just talking about. When I went to Heather, she was in retirement. Now she's not in retirement. I bring people out when I see them.
Retirement for long.
Yeah, so
no, and I know Heather's just sort of there standing on her head at the moment and doing what she's doing. But the fact is this: no misfit goes into retirement for long. God put us on this earth for a reason, and He is not going to allow us to sit on our butts.
That's true. That's true. And so basically through this project, it's all about restoration, but in many different ways. What the summit that we're doing is all about introducing the team to the worldwide space, so that they know who the authentic people are, who the misfits are. It's about teaching people consciousness. It's about teaching people to come from that core conscious parenting, nurturing the gifts that they see in their children and allowing them to shine, instead of it taking 38 plus years before they get there. They're there from the beginning, because they're and that when they arrive in that awareness, that's remains because it's nurtured to remain, and they go straight into their purpose because of that. So there's going to be TV and radio and books and events, live events, web events, and anything else that comes to us to simply assist humanity to grow. So the TV will teach people everything. It will have things from growing their own food, cooking, how to look after a baby, as well as coaching programs talking about, just what, I'm just going to swear here, what a fucked up space this is. And we're going to,
so we swear about that.
And how to, yeah. It's just going to cover everything, and just because really there is only the true feelings are peace, love, courage, and joy. And with that comes incredible understanding and incredible compassion. And all those of us who have the mystic qualities, the fabulous woo-woo ones, all have these. The tribe all have these wonderful attributes. And what's wonderful as well, and this is something that humanity needs to learn too, there is no competition, because everybody has a unique aspect, a unique quality that belongs to only them. And with that quality, only their purpose can come, and it's their purpose. And I will say something else on this as well, because the reason I was scared to say about Conscious Living Global to Heather initially was because I had shared it with somebody else, and they had basically wiped their feet all over me and walked off and tried to create it for themselves. Now that isn't true. That those sorts of things don't create what is true, and they don't go as far. And the reason for that is it's not their purpose to do so. It's not there.
Yeah. Absolutely, Shona. The interesting thing I hear you saying here is it was more than a year ago that you enlightened me with your idea. And I'd actually said to you, wow, that's powerful. Strangely enough, I have this concept and I don't know how to go about it. What are you doing about it? And then later on you pick up and you've been knocked down by a person who is grabbing your idea and creating what they think is right. And the interesting thing is that person's not successful. And like you say, we are put onto this earth for life's purpose. We are born again into this earth to do this. And that's why you, even as a baby, knew what you had to do. And I honestly believe that many of us who are put onto this earth for certain purposes like yours have to face humility. They have to face the pain, so they understand the pain of the universe. And when you decided to go ahead and do this, and you realize that person that you shared it with didn't do what they were meant to do, again, it went out. it went out the window. But you have this courage. You are so powerful, and this is where people underestimate you. They underestimate the fact that you have the ability to do whatever you know you can do. You are more powerful than anybody or anything in your way, because you have this determination for the world and for all the cultures that deserve to have your love and your compassion. And Heather understands this as well, so do I. When you have this belief, and you have the other amazing teachers that are coming in onto your platform, they understand as well. They hear their calling, and that's what you've created, and Heather. So I'm very grateful to be part of this as well, because as I said to you over a year ago, I've got this, but I don't understand how to do it. So God put you in a place to bring me here to where you are. And who was to say? That was in London, and here I am in Brisbane. How did that work? What I'd love to know is when we actually talking about this, your idea, you know, how did this idea, for this incredible movement and internet platform, how did it come about? Because, you know, you told me about your vision. Of course, I'm a dream builder, so I believe in vision blueprints. And when you told me that, I thought, whoa, and you also told me about this fancy Marvel character type house that you're going to have one day. And I know you're going to have it. But how did this movement, you know, what sparked it?
My experiences, really. I just, it's just always been there. It's always been part of me. And it's why people are afraid of me as well. Because whenever I've gone to groups to help me to grow or clean out and things like that, and they see me, if you like, well, they see me to a point, but they don't, they're afraid of what they glimpse. They say kind of, it's like when I was 18 and I went to a group, somebody there saw me, she said, you're going to change the world. You're going to be a world changer. And I just sat there and looked at her. And the leader of because I connected with it, but the leader of this group that I was in when she said that, suddenly began to change towards me after that. And again, it was one of those situations where I was shoved out. So I just left and went on my own merry way on my own, as I always did. But what I'm saying is it's always been there. I've just had to go through the challenges and the learning so that I'm here now doing it. But it's never not been in the radar. It's just become clearer and clearer as I've gone on my journey, what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, the fascinating thing is when people actually learn, and I'm talking about, because, you know, I coach metaphysics, and you have this understanding, you and Heather, you understand that you can't get to the vision, you have to come from the vision. And the way of coming from the vision is to create a blueprint. And the way you create your blueprint is just like an architect does. The architect has to draw this plan before a building can be created. And you've created your vision, you had it there on record, and you knew exactly exactly what to do. You knew exactly what to do. And you're living in that vision. You're living in that vision and you're creating. How powerful is that to let the world know how simple it is to be powerful and create that dream that every single person on this earth has a right to live.
Yes.
Every
They,
person on this earth has a right to live their vision, their
mm,
beautiful vision of health, longevity. They have whatever business they create. It's just a white wall. It's total. It's fantastic. You have a blank canvas and you open it up. It's just like, Picasso used to say, you actually have to dream it before you can paint it. It's a
mm,
blank,
yes.
a beautiful white blank canvas, and you put in the colors and whatever you want to in that. I'm so proud of you. Brilliant.
Thank you. But
So,
yes,
Shona, on this actual note, before we say goodbye,
mm,
I'd like to thank you. And before I close out, I'd like to share with the world that your name, Shona, in Hebrew, means in the grace of God. And I leave everyone and you with gratitude and many thanks. And Heather sitting in the wings, I leave you with my thanks for this, that on behalf of all the teachers that you've chosen. Thanks from them as well. Namaste. I see you and I love you. Thank you so much.
thank you, Susan. It's such a blessing. I love you too.